When we set up camp, the trees were at least 30 feet away. By morning, they were touching the tent. It was supposed to be a simple overnight trip. No trails. No marked campsites. Just a clearing we found off a dirt road that barely deserved to be called one. The forest opened in a perfect circle, as if something had carved out a space just large enough for us. Tall pine trees stood evenly spaced around the clearing. Straight, still, silent, felt peaceful. Too peaceful. We joked about it feeling staged, like the woods had prepared a campsite just for us. We set up the tent in the center, built a small fire, watched the sky turn from gold to deep violet. The trees didn't move, not even with the wind. By 11 p.m., the fire had burned low. The clearing looked smaller at night. Tree shadows stretched toward us, long and thin, like fingers creeping across the dirt. The branches overhead tangled against the moonlight. There were no insects, no owls, no distant animal calls, just silence, and something else, a feeling that the forest was listening. We zipped the tent shut, turned off the lantern, and lay down. I woke sometime after midnight. No sound had triggered it, just a sensation, like being watched. The air inside the tent felt tighter, thicker. I unzipped the flap slightly. The fire was out. The clearing looked different. The trees were closer, not dramatically, but enough. The circle had tightened. I stared at the tree line, trying to rationalize it. Maybe shadows were playing tricks. Maybe I hadn't paid attention earlier. I zipped the tent back up, told myself I was imagining things. But sleep didn't come easily after that. The fabric began to move, not violently, not with wind, pressed inward slowly, as if something leaned against it. From every side, branches scraped gently along the canvas. Long, deliberate. I turned on my flashlight. Tree shadows covered the tent walls. The shapes weren't swaying randomly. They were angled inward, all of them, like a circle closing. I could hear roots shifting in the soil, a deep grinding sound. Beneath us, when gray light finally bled into the sky, I rushed outside. The clearing was smaller, much smaller. The trees were only a few feet from the tent now. The ground around us had deep grooves carved into it, as if massive roots had dragged forward overnight. There were no animal tracks, no human footprints, just circular lines in the dirt, perfect arcs. Surrounding us, the forest hadn't fallen inward randomly. It had moved intentionally, in formation. By the time the sun tried to rise, the branches overhead had woven together. The sky was barely visible. The trees leaned inward now, not naturally, not as trees bend with wind. They were angled, focused. The bark on the closest trunk bulged slightly, as if something shifted beneath it. Sap dripped down slowly, thick, dark. It looked like the forest was sweating, or bleeding. The space between trunks had vanished. There was no visible path out anymore, no direction that didn't lead into solid wood. The clearing was gone. Then we heard it, a low, synchronized sound. Not wind, not animals, breathing, deep, slow. Every tree inhaled together. The trunks creaked as if expanded, then exhaled. The branches lowered, closer. The tent fabric brushed against bark. The forest wasn't random. It wasn't chaotic. It was coordinated, alive. The last thing I remember clearly is looking upward. The branches had fully sealed above us. No escape, no light, just woven wood. Later, search teams said they never found a clearing. Only dense forest, trees standing tightly packed, as if they had always grown that way. No sign of a campsite, no sign of a tent, no sign of us. But sometimes, deep in that section of woods, hunters report finding a perfectly round patch of flattened earth, just wide enough for a tent, and 30 feet away, a ring of trees, waiting. The forest doesn't grow toward the sun. Sometimes, it grows toward you.